please hit that subscribe button.
Hey everybody.
Better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live. Hey everybody, so we have an absolutely massive trade to talk about that literally just happened tonight during my live stream of the Capitals-Islanders game. The Pittsburgh Penguins have acquired forward Jason Zucker from the Minnesota Wild in exchange for Alex Galchenyuk, prospect Calen Addison, and a conditional first-round pick in 2020. So this is a massive, massive deal. Obviously, we're still a couple weeks away from the trade deadline, but Pittsburgh is making their move early here. And Zucker's obviously a guy that the Penguins have had their eye on for a while. They've been trying to get him into a Penguins uniform, really, I think, for a couple years now. But they're finally able to do it. They're able to get the deal done. And honestly, this is a solid return, I think, for Minnesota. I'm not very high on Alex Galchenyuk. He's not having a great year with Pittsburgh this year. He's really, outside of that one big year he had in Montreal, he really hasn't been a very good NHL player. I'm not high on Galchenyuk, but maybe a change of scenery and a move to Minnesota possibly helps him. We've seen guys like Ryan Strome really come into their own years after being drafted with the New York Rangers. Anthony Duclair finally finding his place with the Ottawa Senators. Maybe we have a similar thing with Galchenyuk this year, and maybe going to Minnesota will be good for him and allow him to get his career really off the ground. But Calen Addison looks like a really, really nice defensive prospect. I don't know a ton about him, but he has 43 points in the WHL this year as a defenseman. He's 19 years old. He seems like a really solid prospect for Minnesota to pick up. And then obviously the first-round pick is huge. First-round picks are so valuable in the NHL. Minnesota did get a lot back in return, but if you're the Pittsburgh Penguins, I 100% agree that you do this deal. Jason Zucker is a guy who can come in, play in the top six. He has term on his contract, which is one of the most important things about this deal in my mind, is this is not a rental player. It's not like Zucker is here for the last 20-something games in the playoffs and that's it. He's gone. He still, I believe, has 3 years on his contract after this year. So Zucker is going to be a Penguin for a while. That, to me, makes it worth it for Pittsburgh to give all this up to get him. Again, I don't think Galchenyuk's really a loss as far as Pittsburgh's concerned. Giving up Addison in a first-round pick is quite a bit. But to get Zucker, somebody who is a proven goal scorer, can come in the top six and probably play on the second line and score 20 goals year in and year out, if not more, maybe more with Pittsburgh. Zucker's been in Minnesota, which is a very low-scoring team, not a lot of offense there. Zucker on a team like Pittsburgh, who can really score and rack up the points, honestly might become a 30-goal scorer. You might see his offensive numbers really take off with a team like the Pittsburgh Penguins, especially if he's playing with a guy like Sidney Crosby or Evgeny Malkin. So I 100% think that this deal was worth it for the Pittsburgh Penguins. They are in win-now mode. They are trying to win another Stanley Cup. They've got the team to do it. Obviously, they're chasing down Washington for first place in the Metro Division. They're 100% a Stanley Cup contender this year. I think at this point, especially after this trade, Pittsburgh has gone into my Stanley Cup favorites ranking. They are at the top of the top with the best teams in the league, like Washington, St. Louis, and Boston. Tampa Bay is probably in there as well as Stanley Cup favorites this year. Not just contenders, but full-on favorites. Pittsburgh really improves their lineup. Obviously, they've had so many injury issues this season that they've had to work through. Without Jake Gensel, they needed to add some goal scoring. They have done that. Jason Zucker, now a Pittsburgh Penguin. Massive, massive deal a couple weeks before the deadline. It's going to be really, really fun to watch Pittsburgh and see how Zucker does with the Penguins. I think this is a great trade for the Penguins. Not bad for Minnesota either. They do get a solid return, especially a very good prospect in Addison, and that first-round pick will be, huge. So overall, I like this trade for both teams. I think it helps Pittsburgh certainly a lot more right now. I would say Pittsburgh probably is winning this trade right now, but they're in a different spot than Minnesota. Minnesota, not really a contending team at this point. Pittsburgh is going for the Stanley Cup. So that's pretty much my opinion on this deal. I think it's a huge deal. It's a great deal, and I can't wait to see more of these type deals as the trade deadline gets closer. But with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description below. If you'd like to keep spreading the word about this channel, let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.